not ignore the North, Joe Igbokwe warns. It was recently reported that the North has decided to stop the supply of cows and food to the southern part of the country. Based on that note, Joe Igbokwe decided to speak. In recent days, Joe Igbokwe has spoken on several occasions. While speaking this morning, Joe Igbokwe made it known to Nigerians, most especially those living in the North, in the South actually, that they should not for any reason ignore the North. With this, the southern Nigeria will definitely find it difficult to cope, because for years now the South could said to have relied on the North when it comes to food and other things. But nevertheless, people must certainly survive no matter what. The issue should be resolved as quickly as possible. Both the South and the North need each other to survive. In as much food is an important thing needed by man to survive, the North is also benefiting from the South. Wow. I mean, it's not our responsibility. Do not ignore the North, Joe Igbokwe. My G, you should be telling this to the government. What can we do? They decided to do that, and I feel, and the fact is, again, it's been a continuous pattern of the North having one person, one group, just one singular person, or whatever, trying to speak for the whole people. What if the whole people did not want that to happen? But then, let's say Macban, Mietiala, whatever, they come out and say, this is it, we're stopping this, we're stopping trade, and that's just it. Again, you can't make people feel guilty for something they don't feel responsible for. You should blame this on the government. For so long, I personally believe that for so long, I mean, with what I've seen, I might not be right, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, because it's been a pattern that I've observed, is that the South is always showing empathy. Things are always trending online. But again, every man for himself. You have got to choose not to be oppressed. That's it. And no matter how much, the South can only be an influence. We're not going to make that decision for them. So for the North, not that we're ignoring you, but the fact is, and it's not a pride thing or whatever, but the fact is, the North and the South came together because the South was producing well, very, very good when it came to resources, minerals, trade, economy, all that. GDP was extremely high, and the British were like, you know what, let's join these people together, because the money, we can spread it out, and then we can obviously fund and, sustain the livelihood of people in the northern part of the country. That was it. So the reason why the North and the South, in my personal opinion, are even relating with each other in the first place is because certain people wanted to cash out, and that's just it. And so I what I'm now noticing with some of these political people is that there's this kind of tactic to make Southerners feel bad and make them feel as if it's their duty, or make them feel guilty by association as to why they're not particularly interested. The thing is, has the North ever been interested in matters of the South? I mean, personally for me, I feel it's justified that they should not even be interested, because they're going through so much more. And there has to be a whole enlightenment process. I mean, education there is just, I don't know. It's very, very bad. We're not saying education in the South is the best in the world, but it's definitely far better. And education does not even mean having a degree. Knowing your worth, educated as to where you came from, your history, your understandings of where you are now, where you stand, like your class, how you're being treated. You having such level of awareness and sensitivity makes you educated, and that's just what it is. So the northern part of the country, they need to do something, because you can't save, you have to save yourself. And again, I don't know, but I don't mean they don't have to compromise their culture or whatever, but what needs to happen is that they need to come out in numbers, they need to go and protest. They should never, my personal opinion, they should never leave one person to voice their opinion and that's it. Because I don't think, I think it pushes stereotypes so much, because this one person, this one influential person has said this representing the whole North, other people will think that's how it is. They all agree to that, and it might not be the case. So yeah, it just is what it is. Um, if they're gonna stop the supply of cows and food, I mean, they need it for themselves. Very, to be very honest, they need it for themselves because the mortality rate is extremely high there. The literacy rate is very very high there, and if they can trade amongst themselves, this northern part of the country is very very big. They need to increase their own consumer expenditure to make their GDP very high as well. So they need to go and start trading within themselves, feed themselves, because there's a stereotypes of the Almajiri system, Almajiri children, the ideology that they beg, which is very, as much as fine, be humble to ask for help when you need it. Theirs is a whole different level of, you're literally insulting yourself and insulting the person you're begging from. It's so bad and embarrassing, and it ruins the whole image of Nigeria if you're gonna go with that idea. But they need the food. It's not even in a disrespectful way. They need the food and the cows. They need protein. They need protein because statistically, some children die of kwashiorkor, and so kwashiorkor is the lack or detriment of protein, and that's it. So it's not even an insulting thing. They need to feed themselves. That's just what it is. Um, and then when you have sellouts from your tribe trying to make you feel bad because they're working with the government, it's not going to work. It's not our responsibility to save people. We need to leave that mindset behind. It's not your responsibility to save another person. They need to save themselves. You can only be an influence, and hopefully your influence is strong and convincing enough for the person to make the choice for themselves. But to think that, I have the power to change. If the Southerners had the power to change it, they would have changed everything since. But I think the problem, or sort of the challenge, is the enlightenment of these people before 2023. Because again, it's a different thing trying to make someone understand how they're being violated. But then when the person then goes against you, because the system of oppression is so embedded into them, it becomes their way of thinking, and they think nothing is wrong with it. So that's a whole different, because in that area, it is for the fact that they're that kind of people in the south. Imagine their numbers in the north, where they've been so used to oppression and such bad life that their mentality is so different, and they can't even hope to be free, or they can't even hope, or they can't afford to imagine what it is like to live in a peaceful environment. That is bad. Absolutely. Put what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you believe what Joe Igbokwe is saying is right? Put what you think, and do not forget to like and subscribe.